So, what brings you guys here? Taylor and Greg, go right ahead.
I should go? Alright, so we were driving around the country aimlessly for about 8 weeks, and I heard about what Joe was doing up here, so I started driving from San Jose, California, before I got an email back from him. Figured I'd, come play with the car. So we got up here about a week ago, did the same thing, threw name tags and everything else, and Joe said, if you'd like, you can sleep above the shop. And so we thought it through and said, yeah, that sounds nice. So we put up our tent upstairs, so it's a double house, you have that in a second. And we've been hanging out playing with electronics all week, kind of thinking through what we can do a little better, how we can architect a system as modular as this vehicle in the electronics world. Hardware, software, all of the above, easy to understand, easy to swap out. So that's the main goal here, is that we keep playing. What's your background, Greg? My background, I was lead system architect at Magneti Marelli, which was a Fiat-owned company that did high-end performance nonsense. I did gauge clusters. So I architected the electronics for TFT gauge clusters and then did the software architecture as well and put them together. Sometimes I'd implement, sometimes somebody else would. Before that I was a demo builder for NEC Semiconductor, so they gave me big projects, lots of money, and said, here, build something cool for us, like an autonomous vehicle out of toy cars. And so we did that. So that's my background, is I just get paid to play with things, and now I'm not getting paid to play with things, but it feels just as good. And of course, Taylor is here for moral support, smiling, bubbling, jumping around, having fun.
Ecstatic.
And keeping the shop generally happy.
Yeah, I learned a lot too.
Taylor, what brought you here?
Greg.
Yes, and?
And learning.
Yes, and what have you learned lately? In the last week?
I put in taillight wires.
Yes, you did. Put in LED taillight wires connection.
Press.
You did?
All by myself, no directions either. Just went off the picture. So I'm not sure how it works, but it seems to work okay.
It's still pending review.
It seems to work okay. And then, what did I learn in the car? What did you teach me? So I learned how to solder.
Soldering and heat shrink.
Yeah, I learned all that. But
electricity.
Like the OBD. Is that what you taught me?
The what?
The OBD.
Yes, an OBD.
Yeah, I also learned about the OBD and CAN. And all electricity, too. On the board.
Yeah, right. You were learning about Ohm's law, V equals IR. You were going through all of that at Greg's Electricity University. And you guys connected our OBD2 port again and repaired a significant portion of our CAN bus. Thank you very much. Over the last week, this car's electronics have been iterated more than they have over the last year. And I'm grateful for your expertise. The terrible thing is you guys are leaving soon, and I didn't pair with you enough, so a lot of that information is leaving. So I'm hoping... I can't wait, but I can't wait. You guys can't leave. But hopefully I'll pair at least for a few minutes tonight to get a brain dump.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Thank you, sirs and ma'ams.
You have electronics. Bad news is you're out of red wine.
That's why you're leaving. What brings you here tonight?
Curiosity, mostly. I have listened to your various stories. And in various different formats, and have seen the videos and so on and so forth, and I'm just curious, and a lot of what you're doing makes sense to me on multiple levels, and so I'm just there's a reasonable chance I might be able to do something that won't highly detract from what you're trying to accomplish, and so on that off chance, that's why I'm here.
Appreciate it, Bob. Thanks so much for coming by this evening.
Yep.
Let's do awesome together. Paul, what brings you here this evening?
Just for fun. My background's in physics and electrical engineering. I did a lot of software. I'm here to see if I can contribute to instrumenting the car with electronics.
Please do. Please do. In fact, the engine on this car is currently running rough, and I think it may be an electrical problem, well, the sooner we can get to the bottom of it, the sooner we can be doing long-distance road trip testing again on this car. So, Paul, glad you're here. Thank you, sir. And we need to suck as much out of Greg's brain as we can, because he's been working on this car basically nonstop for the last week, and so he has a lot of familiarity with this car. And he's savvy anyway, 6 years in the industry specific, and then years before that. David, what brings you here today?
Lubrication only.
The only thing you care about on this vehicle is the lubrication.
At this point, yeah, because that's what I have the best ideas and experience with.
Excellent. What's your background, David?
Not lubrications other than for motorcycles and from experiments, because things like chains and things like that on motorcycles, which few people realize, have a tremendous drag on a motorcycle, which means, of course, they're not very efficient. And if you use certain products on the chain, the rolling resistance is zero almost, and you can test that out very simply before and after. Engine-wise also, where Dow Corning has a product out that you can add to it, and they've been using it for years, but for some reason people haven't made the leap between the idea of adding it in the oil. Even Dow Corning was going to do it and decided not to. It had a warehouse full of the stuff, and they've decided not to do it, and then decided just wholesale it all off and never use it at all. All the experiments they did, all the time they did with it, it's just one of those things that just went into the cosmos and got lost out in space.
And that's the Molycote product you've been telling
It
us
is,
about.
yeah. Even the Molycote people don't get support from Dow Corning.
Not currently. Yeah.
Well, I haven't.
Thanks, Dave. Hope to hear more about it this evening. Pat, what brings you here tonight? And Jason, put on a name tag if you don't mind. And on your better half, too. Pat!
I'm a software engineer, and I heard about the possibility of doing NetDuino and Arduino work. Also interested in things like regenerative braking, and I don't know if you're doing anything like that, or energy storage, that kind of stuff.
This engine module is all gasoline, right? And to our knowledge, it's the most efficient all gasoline powered road legal 4-seat vehicle you can buy right now. Period. But we have 2 electric engine modules in development over there in Bay 3. Neither one's ready to test. We need people to help us with them. And you would be a wonderful person to be part of that team. And Pat, it sounds like it's related to your area of interest.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say?
Can't think of anything right at the moment.
Thanks, Pat. And then that's a great segue into Tyler, who has an electric vehicle and some information about it. Tyler, please tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're here.
Professionally, I do robotics and software engineering. I've taught 5 dozen computer science classes, and I've worked with Cash and Paul and Woody and others at Jigsaw. And the main reason I'm here tonight is to work on the paper that you and I are writing that hasn't been done for another month. So I'll do some work on that. I'm also very interested in what Greg is doing as far as the software architecture, and I'd like to integrate everything that we're working on with the robot that Jigsaw has put together, and my robot and this guy.
There are definitely some cross-learnings between the robotics projects, the autonomous automotive robotics projects Jigsaw has been doing recently, the modular engineering that Greg and others have been heading up recently, and the autonomous electric vehicle projects that you have been making headway in over the past couple of years. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Booty,
Hi.
What brings you here tonight?
It was you, Joe.
Oh, come on.
Well, I met Joe, and then I'm impressed with the agile manufacturing, and I would like to actually use the same kind of method for the Jigsaw Renaissance, which is I'm part of also. And then Pat, Paul, Jason's are also part of the...
You're one of the founders of Jigsaw, right?
No, I'm not the founders. I'm a board member of
Oh,
Jigsaw.
okay. Yeah, sure.
So, well, we also have this autonomous robot that we're developing, and then thinking about one thing
That you won first place with in the
and we
Robo
won
Magellan
first-
competition.
And we won a first place, yes. And then, so basically, I would like to learn how this agile manufacturing work, and then try to actually use the same kind of technique for Jigsaw, for kind of organizing technique that you have in here. And so, yeah, and then Jigsaw would like to contribute back by troubleshooting some of the electronics or software and all kind of things. So we try to be partner, beneficial each other.
That's the neatest thing ever, which you guys already have done, by the way. A significant amount of electronics troubleshooting, and I hope it's just the start of the things we're able to achieve together. And speaking of the agile manufacturing method, Greg and Taylor just were part of a presentation on extreme manufacturing just earlier in the week at Boeing, yeah. And they and I would be able to give you a bit of a rundown on that, although I think you got it by now, honestly. Jason, just joined.
Hey.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
So I'm here. I'm a nerd.
We like that a lot.
I do software and hardware, microcontrollers. I'm just recently starting to learn a little bit about. And I was here last week. We were working on debugging some issues with the engine. We replaced.
Yep, the rough idle and yep.
So I guess from what I hear, the oxygen sensor replacing that helped a little bit, but it's still a little rough. But better. So
yep.
we figure it out today.
Wouldn't it be cool, or at least make some headway? Much obliged, Jason, very much. And then your better half is here somewhere.
Yeah, she's on the corner over there.
Okay. And so that's most of the folks here this evening. Thanks, guys.